Hi, thank you so much for joining me today. We're walking and enjoying the sun and also learning about education. I'm here with experienced teacher, coworker, and mentor, Miss
Oh.
Dan Sasak. How many years of
Stop it.
teaching experience do you have?
I have about 3 years with my preliminary credential in second grade, and then I've subbed from K to high school for about over 5 years.
That's great. So I've been doing a lot of research about laws that protect students with different types of needs. A lot to mention, so I'll list some, and then I want to specifically ask you about a few of them.
Okay.
So there's the Civil Rights Act, which ensures that no one can be discriminated against based on race, ethnicity, religion, or gender. That affects both students and employees.
Oh, wow.
Which made it possible for
Yeah.
me to go to school and also for us to be co-workers, which
Yeah.
is awesome. So that still stands. There's also the Rehabilitation Act, and specifically Section 504, which deals with students with disabilities. Also, the IDEA, Individual Disabilities Education Act, Every Student Succeeds Act, which makes sure that schools are held accountable for educational standards. That includes their testing, performances on tests, which I'm going to pick your brain about later. Also, for students that might be socioeconomically disadvantaged, we've got some free lunch programs or reduced lunch programs, things that can help families with food assistance. And for students that might be homeless or displaced, the McKinney-Vento Act, which enforces that schools provide educational support for students that don't have secure housing. So even if they have to change schools and change locations, they can still attend that school for as long as they need to.
Which creates a stability, so that's good.
Yes. Okay, we'll wait for the lovely lady to pass. While I have you here, I do want to ask you about your personal experience working with students with disabilities and your responsibilities as an educator that come along with that.
So overall, or did you have like a specific...
like legal responsibilities.
Okay, so, well, as far as for me, the most I've worked with would be IEPs, individual education plans. I know that as the educator, we are given the information. Like we do have an outline of what those specific needs are for each student who does have an IEP, and then how to create that equity in the classroom while teaching that specific student. We usually have paraprofessionals or one-on-ones for behavior or learning disabilities.
And those are legally required.
Yes, they are legally required. There's even actually, I've actually had a couple students over the years with speech and hearing, and those as well are required to push in for a certain amount and pull out as well. And actually, side note, that's up to the parents. The parents can decide, would they rather have more push-in time in the classroom or more pull-out? So it's actually really interesting how the parents decide, because one way, on the one side, pulling out gives that child more independent, individual support, and it takes away kind of the distractions. But then on the other hand, it pulls them away from that inclusivity. So it may make them feel maybe more different, or it may draw more attention to them, and then they're not learning those social cues and just like the group behaviors. So it's really interesting.
And we kind of spoke off camera. You mentioned kind of how you felt about students with an IEP still being expected to test.
Yes.
Alongside students that do not have disabilities.
Right.
And how do you feel about that?
So I feel strongly about it.
Yes.
I mean, I never had any specific IEPs growing up, but I definitely did not do well on state standardized testing. And I hated that was like such a big part of my identity. And I think that it's still so much a part of each student's identity, because it includes the data that drives the funding. So while there's a benefit,
gives an added pressure,
Exactly. For both the teachers
driving funding,
and the
yes.
students and the school. So everyone has that pressure to perform. But it's unfair, in my opinion, to ask scholars with disabilities of any kind to perform at the same rate as someone without a disability. Like that. Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you for sharing that. We both have strong opinions
Yes.
when it comes to all of these. The great thing overall is that there are laws that protect students and employees with all of these differing needs.
Yes.
Even educators that might have disabilities, which brings me to my last question. I want to pick your brain.
Interesting.
So there was a recent story of a teacher here in California that was intoxicated at work,
Oh wow.
and she was not fired from her job because they ruled that she didn't break any laws by being drunk at work.
Yeah, that's well. Yeah.
Yes.
Let me process.
Exactly.
Well, first off, that alone in itself has to be illegal, but then also, like, you're impaired, so therefore, how are you to educate and actually provide a safe environment? Like,
I agree with you. But the argument was that under the 14th Amendment, she was protected under her freedom of speech and expression. And also, this is something I learned recently. If you are an alcoholic and can prove you're an alcoholic, that counts as a disability.
stop it.
No, that counts as a disability.
Okay, well, if you're
So-
then get disability, because at the end of the day, you should not be in a classroom teaching. One, A, you're not able to educate fully. B, you're not even aware, and C, that's unsafe.
I
I
agree.
would-
I,
I would be
personally agree with you.
So angry
Yeah.
as a parent
But-
if my child were in that classroom.
And this is a great debate that we don't fully have time for today,
Oh.
but it's just one of many
Yeah.
loopholes. We can really find loopholes in all of these laws. Again, what we're focusing on is that there is protection,
Yeah.
whether we think it's right or not. But
Yeah.
the great thing is that I've got mentors like you to kind of help lead the way for me as a brand new educator.
Yeah.
And especially when it comes to students with disabilities. Because I didn't know before. Now I know
Yeah.
that I have the freedom to ask and find out
Yeah.
what's in that IEP.
Absolutely, yeah.
What can I do to ensure that I'm supporting that student's needs in the classroom?
Well, and they always need a teacher to sign on to that IEP as well. So there should always be the educator in there. So you should be a part of that decision process as well.
Well, thank you so much for
You're very welcome.
sharing your ideas with me today. And
We definitely have to do a follow-up. I have
Yes.
so many more things I could say.
follow-up coming soon. Thank you so much for watching.